everybody, this is Jen Rogers with Art and Whimsy with Jen. Thank you for joining me. Today I'm going to be painting this cute little guy, Snow Much Joy. I started by tracing it with a tracer, and I will have that available in the description if you're interested. It's a 16 by 20, and just use graphite paper to trace them. I only traced the base body because I'm going to be doing black background. So the first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to get some white paint here, and we are going to paint the inside of him white. After we do that, we're going to paint the outside perimeter all black. So I'm going to do that. I'm going to time lapse that so that you can see how that's done. Okay, now that we have that all on and it's drying, we are going to mix a little bit of white and brown together and paint just along the edges of the snowman. So each snowball and the face around the hat. So we're mixing it, just a little bit of brown in there, and that's probably way too much brown. So I'm going to put some more in. But don't worry if it's a little bit more brown than you want. We're going to come back and do more white after. So don't start to freak out if it's if it's too much brown and not white enough. So what we're just doing is giving him a little bit of shadowing and contouring. So we're going to come in and kind of do like a little C. Paint around there. So I'm gonna do that. We're gonna do all three snowballs, all the face, just like that, and just a little bit on the edge, and we're gonna come in sweeping motions. So you can watch this, and I'm gonna speed it up just a little bit. Okay, now that that's done, we're going to give it a chance to dry, and we're going to start on the hat. And I'm using two different blues. We're going to use both of them, and we're going to mix them together and blend. You could use any color you want. It does not have to be blue, but you want two similar colors. Now we have both the blues on here, and I'm going to start with the lighter color. I have an angled brush that I'm using right now so that I can cut in a little bit easier, but you can use whatever you want. If you're more comfortable with a smaller brush or a flat head brush, you can. I just like to cut in with it. So I'm starting to do the lighter blue here on the outside, and I'm going to cut in with that, and then I'm going to start blending the darker blue down on the bottom and blend the hat in. So I'm going to speed that up, and you can kind of see along the lines I'm going to do a little bit of the darker just for shadowing and contrast. Okay, now that that's done, we're going to come in and we're going to put some white over the brown to soften it. And we're just feathering it in, and it will make a really big difference in the way this all looks. You're going to be a lot happier with the outcome once you do this. But you have to let it dry a little bit before you come back in and do this. So just go over. You don't want to paint over the whole thing. We're just painting over different parts of it and feathering it in. Okay, so now that that's done, we're going to take a little bit of black and a liner brush and we're going to make his eyes. And those eyes are going to be upside down smiles. That is really the easiest way to do eyes for a snowman. You can do a round eye with a white highlight, but I don't recommend it when you're starting out. These are nice and cute and simple to do. I started with just a little bit of paint on my brush because I didn't want to make them too heavy, and then I came back and did a little bit more. You can always put more on. It's a little bit more difficult to take paint off, but if you do mess up, just let it dry and you can fix it after that. It's easier to wait until it dries to fix it most of the time. So now we're going to start to do his mouth. Next, we're going to use a little orange and a liner brush to do his nose. So we're just going to fill that in. It's already outlined. You can't see it as well on the video, but I'm just going to come down with some orange or orange, however you say it. Where we live, it's orange. And really simple, small brush. Less paint is more, because if you have too much, you're not going to be happy. Easier to put a little bit more on than take it off. And it doesn't have to be perfect. We're going to come back and outline it. So we're just trying to make sure it's all filled in. We're going to come back in and outline it in black and do a little bit of lines, just really light lines to make it look a little bit more like a carrot. And I think that's good. There you go. Now we're going to work on the scarf and the hat. I'm going to be doing some stripes on the hat and some polka dots on the scarf. And we're going to be using a red. The Tuscan red is really good for Christmas. Deco Art has it. This is an apple barrel paint, but either one is fine. It's not too red, but it's a really pretty Christmas red. So that's what we are going to use. And I'm just going to squeeze a little bit out. And when we're doing the squiggles on the hat, we're going to not do them perfect. They're not going to be even. He's wearing his hat. He's blowing in the wind. So don't worry about it being perfectly straight or even, or the thicknesses don't even have to be perfect. I'm going to come in, I'm going to do my initial lines, and then I'm going to come back and make them a little bit thicker. But if you don't want to do stripes, you can also do, well, you can do whatever you want. You could leave it plain, but you could also do polka dots on the hat, or and stripes on the scarf, or both stripes, both polka dots. Mix it up, do whatever you like, use whatever colors you like. If you prefer a different color, you don't have to use red. So just watch what I'm doing and do whatever makes you happy on your painting. So I'm going to speed this one up so you can see what we're doing. Next part, we're going to start his arms with the brown, and we're going to just start at the base of his scarf for the first one. And I'm using a small angled brush, but you can use a 1-inch brush if you really want, and just use the side. You could use really a flat brush, whatever you want. So we're coming down, and I'm going to come down to where I want his arm to bend. And remember, these are sticks. So his first arm is coming across his body, and they don't have to be perfect. We're just connecting it. And now we're going to draw a couple little fingers, hands, branches off of it. And the key with this is you just kind of want to connect it to the main base. You start in the base and V off from that. Whenever you're doing a branch or anything on a tree, you're starting at the base and connecting off from that. We're just going to do a couple little ones to make it look like he has some hands. There you go. Again, doesn't have to be perfect. I'm using a lighter brown because the dark background, if you have a lighter background, if you decide to do like a sky blue or a gray, you could definitely do a darker brown, a sienna. But the dark one would not have shown up, so I had to do a lighter brown. If you have a brown that's too dark, all you have to do is lighten it up with some white. So now the next one, we're starting out from the other side, and this one's going to go up. So I didn't start right at the scarf. I started a little lower, and it looks like he's raising his arm up. Now we're going to do a little bit on the hands for this one. We're doing it so that we can hang some things off of his hands. We're going to have some lights come down off of his hands. So, and you can do yours however you want. If you prefer to just kind of look at my example and paint from there, you definitely can do that. Or you can make it your own. Again, being branches, it's a snowman. It doesn't have to be perfect. So whatever makes you happy. The next thing I'm going to do is I am going to take some gold, it's glorious gold from Deco Art, and I'm going to highlight his arms. So we're going to do that real quick. So I actually decided to put the tassels on first, so give the brown a chance to dry for a minute. Luckily, the craft paint dries pretty quickly. So we're going to do gold tassels. If you want to do a different color, you could do red, you could do green, you could basically do anything you wanted. But I figured since I have the gold, we're going to do some gold. So really, really light liner brush I'm using again. Light, light, light. Light, light, light. And you could do multicolored tassels if you want to, but I'm just going to do the one, I think. I have enough other things going on, so I don't want to make it too complicated. All right, so now we're going to line his arms. And this should be pretty easy to do. We're going to just take our liner brush and go all the way down his arm on each side. You're only doing one part of the arm. So you're just going on the inside, and then you will do the fingers on just one side. You don't want to line them on both sides, just one side, and it just kind of gives it a little bit of a highlight. Okay, now that we're done with that, we're going to still use our gold, and we're going to make little stars hanging off our snowman. So it's going to be pretty simple. It's going to be just hanging off his arms. We're going to just start with a little loop around his arm with our gold. Come down, I don't know, maybe an inch, inch and a half, and make our star. Now you can just freehand the star. I would just do the simple way to do the star and do the triangle and crisscross and then fill in. You can do it however you like, but I find that's just the easiest. These don't have to be perfect. They're just little ornaments hanging off his arm. And we're gonna do 2 of these. Just fill that in. Again, doesn't really need to be perfect. Just something cute. He looks so happy, doesn't he? And again, when we did that gold, I just want to remind you, we did not do gold on both sides of his arm. We just did it on one side. And I'm going to do another one over here. Might as well have a couple hanging off. But we'll go a little lower so that you can see it separately. And it's fine. We're coming right into where the snowball is. And I'm making that just... Like I've said before, you want to do a little bit less paint and come back than too much. You'll be happy if you do that. If you put too much paint on, it's fine. You can normally fix it or wait for it to dry and come in with some touch-up paint. So I don't worry if you do too much paint, but less is more. It ends up making your life a little bit easier. And you see this one's not a perfect star. It's kind of funky, but that's okay. And we're going to do another little star on the other side. And then we will start doing his lights hanging off. So this one I'm going to do, this star, we're doing like way up high, so that they're not all at the same eye level. You want to have interest at different levels. So again, same sort of star deal. You could do them a little bit bigger than I guess what I'm doing. I didn't want them to be too big. See, that one's like totally off, but that's okay. It's gonna be cute little ornament. And just fill in. So now on the lights, what we're going to do is we're going to just curly cue it around his arm that's sticking up in the air. And it's super simple to do. You can do whatever color you want. Silver would go pretty good against the black. I think I'm going to do green this time, but you can do whatever color will show up against your background on that. After we do the curly cue, we'll come back and we'll do little teeny dots, basically. They're going to be kind of little rectangles for where the lights then will come off of. And we'll just kind of place those on, let that dry for a second, and then come back with different colored lights. And again, that's up to you, whatever color you like to do. It could be red, it could be yellow, purple, anything that you think will show up on the black background. So I have a lighter green that I'm going to start with to do the squiggle, and just really follow. It doesn't have to be exactly what I'm doing. You just kind of want to be able to do an in and an out. So I'll show you here. We're just taking a little bit of paint. We don't need a ton of it. That's one thing I have to always work on, is not squeezing out too much paint. So I'm going to use a small brush again, and less paint is better for this, again, just like we did before. So I'm going to kind of tilt this a little bit, and it does not have to be perfect, but we are going to try and make it from the top of his arm down to the bottom. Okay, get a little bit of paint on. I'm starting at the top of his hand, coming down, and we're kind of weave it in and out. So we're going behind that first branch, and then we're coming in, getting a little more paint. Less is more, but you see how thin I'm doing it? I'm not really doing it super thick. So I'm getting a little more paint. I'm using a light green because I think that shows up the best on here. And the one I'm using is a basic paint. It's, I think, just called light green. And we're weaving in and out. So I went over the branch and then under the branch. Then coming around, we'll do a little curly cue. Again, doesn't have to be perfect. It's just tangled lights. So we're coming back over the branch. We're going to go over it this time. A little more paint. And back around over it. There we go. And come all the way down. That way we can get a bunch of lights. It doesn't have to be all the way down to the ground, but we want to get a decent amount of lights on here. And curl it again. So just whatever curls that you want to put on it, whatever shape you want. So kind of play with it, have fun, and do what you would like. So I'm going to come over this one more time and with a little bit more green just to kind of sharpen it up. Then I'm going to go put the little knobbies on for the lights and then the lights. So I'm going to speed that up so you don't have to watch the slow process. Okay, now that that's done, I also added a little yellow to the stars to just highlight it. And now we are going to start to outline the snowman, the hat, the pom-pom, the scarf, all in black. And also we can correct any issues or errors that we have along the way. So I'm going to do that real quick. It's going to be lining. I use a small liner brush in black, and I'm just going to outline the whole snowman. Okay, now that it's outlined, we're going to do the nose, and we're going to do this very, very lightly and just a teeny bit of paint on your brush, a very thin brush, the thinnest brush you can get, and just a little bit. Less is more, so just go and take your time, just a little bit of paint at a time. Outline the nose. And then we're going to come in and make little half lines. Some can go all the way across, but just little lines up through the whole carrot, just to kind of look like a carrot. It makes it look slightly more realistic. Obviously, it's a whimsical painting, so it's not super realistic, but you can kind of see. So now that's done, we're going to just come back in and fix up the snow. We had left a little spot on the bottom for snow when we did the background. And I'm just going to come in and fill it in a little bit. Doesn't have to be perfect. It doesn't have to be even. We just kind of want to make it look a little fluffy and make sure there's some paint on there. Now that the snow is all done, I'm going to use the back of a brush to dot into white paint to make the snow. It's simple, it's random, just drop them wherever you want to use the back of a brush because you're going to get the best circles with that. They don't have to be perfect, but when you use the head of your brush, a lot of times you'll kind of get a blob, and that's not the effect that we're going for. So this is the easiest way to make the big snowflakes. If you want to make really small snowflakes, you could put some paint on a dry brush and kind of flick it with your finger, or use a toothbrush, an old toothbrush, and flick it with your finger to make little teeny snowflakes or even stars. But this is really an easy way to make some big snowflakes that are whimsical and cute and fun. So now the snow is all coming down the sky, and we're going to take our brush, and we're actually using the brush side, and we're doing dot, 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 to put some white snow on places where the snow might be accumulating. So anywhere that might be accumulating, especially somewhere that you might not like the way it looks and you want to kind of cover up a mistake. That's always a good place to put it. But just along where it might accumulate, and just a few dots. We're going to do some on the branches, on top of the hat. So just simple, simple dot, 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 little bit of paint. Now it's time for the fun glitter. So we are going to put some glitter. It's glitter paint. I don't recommend using just plain glitter because you will get it everywhere. There's glitter glues, but this is just a Deco Art glitter paint. It's clear with glitter in there, and I'm just gonna put some glitter down in the snow. You can put glitter wherever you want. You can put it on the pom-pom or the snow or wherever you want. I wouldn't go too crazy, but you can't really see it in the painting, but it looks pretty cool when it's done and it's kind of sparkly. So I'm just going to put a little bit of that on. And after that, we're going to let it dry. And then the next day, I'll seal it. Maybe you can see it. Yep, you can see a little bit of the glitter. There you go. So we'll seal it the next day. There's different things you can use to seal it. I have a Liquitex matte and gloss. I'll probably do this one in matte. It still is a little glossy when you do that, but you can use either or, whichever you want. If you want something a little bit more glossy, you can also use a Mod Podge. But you just seal that. You want to wait till it's good and dry, and you can seal it up, and you could still paint over it after that, but that's about it. That's all you really need to do. So I hope that everybody enjoyed the tutorial, and if you liked it, please like. And if you want to see some more, follow me on Instagram and Facebook, and also on YouTube at Art and Whimsy with Jen. Thanks so much and have a great day.